Welcome back to the Giant Hot Takes podcast, your home for the hottest takes about the San Francisco Giants. I'm your host, Jack, and I'm joined by a special guest here, Grayson. Grayson's pretty big in the Yankees community, runs an awesome Instagram page. I'll let him tell you about it here soon. EverythingNYYankees, just a great guy, been a great resource for our podcast and growing. Grayson, thanks for joining us. You excited today?
I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Jack. Very excited to preview the series and talk about which directions our teams are headed in.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So we got a big series here coming up. You just kind of want to introduce yourself, quick little intro for the people that don't know, if they haven't seen your page, where to follow you, things like that.
Yeah, so my name's Grayson. I made this account back in 2017, and, every year I've just continued to grow it. It's become a fun little hobby for me. I just pretty much cover the team day in and day out, post highlights, provide insight, and all of that, We're still going strong here in 2025.
Yeah, 2025. Is it year 8 for you now?
Year 8.
Year 8, yeah. I mean, that's just insane. We hope to get there one day, but just appreciate you joining the show. So just little series preview here, Giants-Yankees. We got a big series. Giants come into this series 8-3 with a game at 12:45 today. This podcast is getting filmed at 11:20 a.m. Pacific. So hopefully we move to 9-3. We better not get swept by the Reds. Yanks come in. They are 6-5 right now, playing live right now. Just kind of where do you think the Yanks are heading into this series?
First road trip of the year, it's been very tough. They've had to play in some tough weather conditions. Pittsburgh was like 30 degrees, and now they're in Detroit, another not great weather conditions. The pitching hasn't been the worst. They won the first 2 games in Pittsburgh, but since that, they could be on the brink of losing 4 straight here. They're tied here in the 6th. But I don't know, the weather, it's not an excuse, but it's been tough on the hitters. They haven't homered in 3+ games now, dating back to the Pittsburgh series. So we'll see how it goes. Getting home should be good for them.
Yeah, no, could be a pitcher's duel over in New York. The Giants are fucking embarrassing themselves right now. 18 straight innings without a run. So we'll see if that breaks today. We got Nick Martinez on the bump against us. Verlander trying to stop the bleeding. But looking ahead to this road trip for the Giants, we're in New York for 3. In Philly for 4, and then in Anaheim for 3. So definitely a good little litmus test to see if this Giants team's legit. I'm excited for a team like the Yankees because, obviously played in the World Series last year. So it'll be good to see where these Giants stack up. Are you over that World Series loss yet or not quite?
I just try not to think about it. I get pretty annoyed when people still mention it, but, we got to move on.
Yeah, no, got to move on. So going into this series, Giants coming in, swinging the bats all right. We got probably best offensive player, Elliot Ramos, 46 ABs, 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. Elliot's obviously got some oppo juice. Grayson watches the Giants quite a bit. Is it fair to say his game should translate pretty well in this New York?
I think so. Our stadium plays pretty short to the right field at least. As he's got big-time opposite field pop. So I think, if a sinker leaks out over the middle to one of our guys or slider, he could definitely do some damage.
Yeah, excited to see Ramos there. I do see him going yard at least once in that series. Another guy I'd love to see go yard here soon, Willy Adames. Willie, obviously our big free agent acquisition. He's got 2 doubles. Kind of looked really rough to start this year. 15 strikeouts and 45 ABs. I know you were pretty high on Adames coming into the Yankees potentially. Kind of what do you see with Willie? You think he can turn it around?
Yeah, I think he's just adjusting to his new environment. He's played at a little more hitter-friendly parks. Not so much Milwaukee and Tampa, but a little better than San Francisco. I think he's still adjusting. He had that big hit in the home opener, we know, but his glove will translate. I think his bat will be fine, just settling into a new environment.
Yeah, for sure. Excited to see Willie. Vibes are off the charts. The purple glove last night with the City Connects, pretty fucking electric. We got arguably one of the hottest players in baseball, Wilmer Flores, 40 ABs, 225, nothing to write home about, 4 home runs and 12 RBIs, so that's definitely another player to watch. Wouldn't be a Giants podcast without talking about Matt Chapman. Chappie's playing incredible over at third. So just kind of trying to get back on track. If they win the day, going into New York at 9-3 would definitely be good. Going over to the Yankees, obviously, first thing you think of the New York Yankees, Aaron Judge. How nice is it to have Aaron Judge in the Yankee uniform? I know that deal was like 2 seasons ago. We'll talk about it, but obviously nice having a guy like that.
I just try not to take it for granted. It's pretty special what he does day in and day out. I don't know. It just feels as if it's not a hot streak. It's just the hitter he is, and we're just blessed to have a guy like that in our lineup. And it makes the loss of Soto feel a little bit better when you have a guy like that.
Yeah, now what's your thoughts on Juan Soto? Looks like he's just playing awful defense over in New York. Is that a good deal for them?
I mean, I wouldn't say he's gotten off to the greatest start yet, but I'm sure he'll be fine. We'll see. Like, the power, I think he's got one homer right now still. He should be fine, though. Like, he's a hitter.
Yeah, for sure. That Soto contract's still pretty bonkers. So Judge will come into the series at the time of this podcast, 46 ABs, 326, nearly a 1,200 OPS with 6 home runs, 3 doubles. As you said, it's not even a hot stretch. It's just kind of the hitter he is. How can the Giants hope to contain Aaron Judge in this series with the starting rotation, Robbie Ray, Logan Webb, and who else is throwing? Hicks will throw on Saturday. So yeah, how can these guys kind of hope to contain the beast that Aaron Judge is?
Well, dating back to Ray's days in the AL East with Toronto, I know Judge got him a couple times. Last year in San Francisco, Judge got Hicks twice, and he also got Webb back in opening day in 23, and then I think once again last year. So, the way the Yankees offense has been, like, Jazz is in a really cold streak right now. Bellinger's not doing much, so, like, the protection is not really there, so they may have the ability to kind of pitch around him and attack other weaknesses in the lineup, We'll see.
Yeah, so what kind of protection are we talking about here? So Jazz, obviously, 4 home runs, looks good. Volpe's having a better year, it looks like. Is this lineup deep for the casual Giants fan that hasn't really watched it, or kind of where's the strengths and weaknesses lie after Judge here?
I'd say they're kind of overperforming a little bit right now. They may be due for some aggression. Obviously, encouraging signs for some of them, but outside of Judge, like, you don't really know what you're going to get out of this lineup still, like, come the summertime. So we'll just see. But I do think, like Jazz, as I mentioned, struggling. A couple other guys struggling. Bellinger, they maybe have the ability to kind of pitch around Judge and attack other guys.
Yeah, and just looking at this lineup, I totally agree. I mean, it's nothing to write home about with these numbers, but, it's the Yankees at home. Jazz can pop a couple out. Anybody can pop anybody out. Looking at this roster, I was a big proponent of Paul Goldschmidt being a Giant. It made a lot of sense as a placeholder for Eldridge. 1 year, $12 million for Goldschmidt. Looks like a bargain. You excited to see Paul in a Yankees uniform?
Yeah, he's been one of our most consistent hitters at this point. He's hitting the highest on our team. Has, I believe, the most multi-hit games in baseball so far. Or at least that was the case a couple days ago. He's looked good, like, the pop isn't so much there, but he puts together good at-bats, competitive at-bats, finds holes. And a great defense, last night in Detroit he bailed out a couple of our infielders with some wild throws.
Yeah, and going on to that infield, how's your guys' defense this year? Haven't been able to watch many Yankees games. Giants still only have 1 error, so I think that can definitely be a place where they're going to have to be good against this Yankees team because you're not going to want to give any of those guys free bags, especially at a ballpark like that where they can leave the yard. So how's your guys' defense this year?
So, big roster turnover from last year, obviously, losing Soto, Torres. Good bats, but we obviously know the defense isn't so much there. So the Yankees definitely have a better outfield defense, and I would say infield this year. They moved Jazz back to second. Cabrera and Peraza rotating at third, depending on a righty-lefty. Volpe's a good shortstop, and Goldschmidt's obviously much better defensive first baseman than Rizzo was. So I would say the defense has definitely taken a leap forward this year.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm excited to see him play. And in terms of your lineup, I know you're kind of low on him right now, not that hot, but what do you see with these Giants pitchers? And we'll go more in depth here in a little bit, but kind of where do you think they can attack these guys? Because you got a hard thrower in Hicks. Ray's kind of got some bad command. He can leak it across the middle of the plate. And then Webb's kind of returned to Cy Young form, even though it's early. Kind of where do you see your guys matching up against these 3 Giants pitchers?
I mean, This might actually be to date the best 3 starters we've seen in a series, or probably Detroit actually, but I don't know. These are good pitchers, they attack, I would say. 2 sinker baller guys and then a lefty who tends to pitch up in the zone. Yankees have familiarity with a couple of these guys. Hicks had a brief stint in the East with the Jays. Ray pitched for the Jays, as we know, and I think this will be Webb's 3rd start versus the Giants. So I just think, like, if their sinker's sharp, the Yankees haven't had much success on sinker baller guys yet, and obviously, as we know, Yankee fans, we've struggled hitting against left-handed pitchers for the last year and a half, so we'll see there.
Yeah, and so we got our projected starters, which is what it will be. Game 1 on Friday at 4:10, is it?
4:05. Yeah.
4:05. Robbie Ray versus Marcus Stroman. Ray's kind of had an up and down year. Stuff looks good. Stroman's ERA doesn't look great. Game 2, Jordan Hicks versus Will Warren. And Game 3, Logan Webb versus Carlos Rodon, former Giant, forever Giant, Carlos Rodon. Digging into Game 1 here, Robbie Ray versus Marcus Stroman. I would think that we have the slight advantage here in terms of starting pitching with Robbie Ray. But kind of where do you see this matchup just of starting pitchers breaking down here.
Yeah, I know the Giants they've faced some tough cream of the crop pitchers to this point. You know, they've seen Hunter Green twice, they've seen Framber Valdez, and obviously two of the Mariners' better arms in Bryce Miller and Brian Wu. I think, you know, like, they've seen some velo with those guys, obviously, and Stroman, you're not going to see that. You know, he's barely broke 90 this year. He's going to be a lot of sinker sliders, you know, so I think that could favor the Giants, as you mentioned. Same goes for Will Warren, kind of similar pitcher, sinker slider predominantly, mixes in the changeup. His velo in the spring, he was up to like 95, 96. With the cold weather conditions, he's been like 91, 92, so similar type there. And then Rodon, obviously, kind of similar pitcher as Ray, likes to pitch up in the zone, use that slider as a put away. So it should be an interesting series for sure, but it's a little different pitching than the Giants have seen to this point.
Yeah, no, totally. And I do worry about this lineup against right-handed pitchers. You've seen them get carved up by Hunter Green early. Didn't look great against Nick Martinez. Bats are in a tough spot right now. Obviously, only 3 lefties that start. We got Lamont Wade Jr. looks lost up there. I mean, he had one good game against the Mariners where he hit that triple, hit 2 doubles, but it's been nothing else there. Jung-Hoo Lee balls, he'll rake against anybody, so expect him to leave the yard in New York. He needs to get on the board there. He's hitting balls so hard. He hit a ball the other night, I think gone in 22 out of 30 gone in 22 out of 30 parks. Carlos Rodon, I really like how this matchup looks for us with Logan Webb. As Grayson alluded to earlier, I know Judge does have some history with Webb, a little bit of ownage, but Webb looks good. I really like our lineup against lefties. Got Ramos leading off. You get Matos in there. Flores rakes lefties. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. But I do, from a Giants perspective, kind of like how this plays out for us in terms of starting pitching, but I do worry about Ray and Hicks kind of leaking some stuff out towards the middle against Judge. Do you think that's kind of a fair assessment there?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, so going into the bullpens, I love our bullpen right now besides Camilo Doval. I don't want to get canceled for even saying that, but Doval's a mess. We got Ryan Walker in the back end. We got Tyler Rogers in the back end. Randy Rodriguez looks fantastic. If you need a long relief role, then you do have Hayden Birdsong there. Lou Trevino looks pretty good. Eric Miller looks good. I'd say the bullpen's a pretty big strength for us. I haven't gone in-depth in your guys' bullpen, but the numbers didn't look great. You kind of want to break down this bullpen for us?
Yeah, not great. You know, they're battling some injuries. They just got one of their higher leverage arms, I would say, back yesterday in Ian Hamilton, but they're still not healthy in that department. Weaver's been the best in the back end so far. You know, Williams settling in still. Hasn't looked great yet. He's kind of fought with his fastball command and just like doesn't look super sharp yet. And as I mentioned, the injuries, you know, the Yankees should be getting some arms back soon, but obviously not for this series. So we'll see there.
Devin Williams back yet or no?
He's back. Came back from paternity leave for the Pittsburgh series, but his velo's like 93, 94. Obviously, again, I'll mention like the weather being a factor, but he hasn't looked great. He's kind of been fighting command through all of his appearances so far.
Yeah, that's still one of the top end closers in this game, so it'll be vital to try to avoid Devin Williams. I know we're probably not going to avoid him all series, but just got to take advantage of these starters because Stroman hasn't looked great. I mean, Warren's pretty good, and like Rodon, I don't know, we should be able to do pretty well against Rodon. But yeah, we'll see. I do think the bullpen's a big strength for us this game, and they're going to need to show up and play well because this Yankees team can put 12 or 20 on you in a hurry. So it's a good test for them. Haven't seen many great hitters early this year. Looked pretty good against the Astros, but excited for that bullpen for sure. Rolling into the next segment, we got some big storylines to watch this series. Giants-Yankees almost feels like a rivalry, but it's not. Two of the better franchises in MLB history. Obviously, the Giants used to be in New York, so just excited to see us back in New York. Last time we were there was opening day 23. One of the bigger storylines here, Aaron Judge, Arson Judge, John Heyman. I can't go through a podcast. It's been a while since I've said fuck you, John Heyman, but fuck you, John Heyman. After you saw that tweet, I know you were at winter meetings that year, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, and so you saw that tweet go through. Did your heart kind of drop, or do you not see it in the moment?
It felt like everything kind of just stopped, and like that became everything, you know? Like, the whole time, like, I kind of had a feeling something was up when no other reporters confirmed it, like 10 minutes later, and then Heyman obviously came out and apologized, saying he jumped the gun, obviously, but I don't know. All along, it kind of just felt like Judge was kind of leveraging the Giants, as horrible as it sounds to Giants fans, but kind of felt like he was always going to be a Yankee, and that was the case.
Yeah, no, he completely leveraged Giants fans, and so I want to put this on the record for fans in this team. This team should feel disrespected by that. Granted, Posey didn't negotiate that deal, but this series should be personal. Judge came home to Oracle Park, obviously kind of a Bay Area kid, Stockton, I believe, or around that area. Came home, had a bunch of these fans riled up. We boo Aaron Judge every time he comes to the plate, and he takes Jordan Hicks' yard twice. I was there in attendance. Got a text from my good buddy Tig, and he was smelling the Judge Wagyu beef he was at a Zach Bryan concert at the Oakland Coliseum. But this should be personal for the Giants. They should not let this affect them, but it 100% should. So go out, have him have a miserable series, and just kind of show him what he's missing out on. But it's going to be hard to contain him for sure. Another storyline, Carlos Rodon, former Giant. He was on one of those Farhan bullshit deals, the 2 years with an opt-out where they never stay. Honestly, kind of happy he didn't stay. I don't know if that's a little crazy to say, but kind of what has your thoughts been of Carlos Rodon in the Yankees uniform?
Yeah, I mean, no other way around it. I would say this deal hasn't paid for itself yet. The Yankees are pretty underwhelmed. 2023 was a rough year. He battled a ton of injuries, didn't debut until late summer. 24 was a better year. He stayed healthy, put together 30 starts, won about 18 games, I believe. And then this year, he's gotten off to a tough start. In 3 starts, his first start against Milwaukee was good. He got through 5 1/3, struck out 6. Looked good, but the last two starts have not been great for him. In Arizona, he got hit around pretty good early, settled in, but still gave up 4 over 5, which isn't great. And then his last start Monday is that, it was pretty bad. Can't blame umpires too much, but there was a call he probably should have got that he didn't get, and then it yielded to Andy Ibanez 3-run homers. But his problem is really just he's always prone to giving up that one homer that tends to do tons of damage normally. He can't avoid that homer. Obviously, a four-seam guy, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, for sure. That's it's almost a very similar pitcher to Robbie Ray. So it'll be interesting to see how they play in those conditions. What's the weather looking like this weekend?
Yeah, so it should warm up a little bit. It looks to be 45 to 50 for the 3 games, which isn't horrible.
Yeah, not bad there. So we'll see how the Giants handle that. Kind of played in Cincinnati early, was hot. Oracle Park was hot this last week. Still pretty warm there, and played in a dome in Houston. So it'll be interesting to see how we use those elements, because as Grayson mentioned, the Yanks are kind of struggling with it, playing in damn near negative conditions there in Detroit right now. It's a good litmus test for this Giants team. Obviously off to the best start in baseball. Started off 8-1, dropped 2 straight to the Reds. It was awesome to win that series. Swept the Astros, which I think is a pretty good team, should be a playoff contender. Swept the Mariners at home, very good team. Not very good team, but very good pitching staff. But still nothing really to write home about. It's great to start off 8-1, but going to this road trip, 3 at the Yankees, 4 at Philly, and 3 in Anaheim. All 3 teams with winning records, so excited to see how this team holds up against the league's best. We're going to go into some series predictions here. How do you see this series playing out?
I don't think it'll be a sweep. I think one team should win 2 out of 3. I'd say to this point, so far, these teams are kind of similar, Or the Giants' pitching's been a lot better. I'd say the Yankees' bats have probably been better at this point, but I think that both Pens are probably in the better upper echelon of MLB teams. Should be interesting, fun series. They only meet once a year. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, no, once a year, and it's just going to be hard to go in the Yankee Stadium and take 2 out of 3 from the Yanks. So I've got the Giants. I think they're going to. I'm kind of torn on Friday. I do think Stroman pitches well against us. We always struggle against those guys on the back end of their career who just throw 88 to 90. Look at Liam Hendricks, just carves us every game. So I think the Yanks take that one. I love Jordan Hicks. I think he looks great. I think he's going to leak a couple out towards the middle, and we're going to drop game 2, and that's going to be full-on panic mode. Then Logan Webb will come save the day game 3. Giants take 1 of 2, which I'd love to win the series, but taking 1 of 2 from the Yanks in New York would not be the biggest deal in the world. Kind of where do you see game-by-game predictions here?
Well, compare and contrast here with Hicks. Last year when he started against the Yankees, it was in the summer, and I think his velo was down a good bit by then. He was 92 to 94, I watched a couple of his starts this year. He seems to be up to 98, 99, even getting up to 100. So I think we'll see a completely different Hicks. And as I mentioned, the Yankees have seen Ray a lot, playing with Seattle in the American League, and obviously the year he won Cy Young in Toronto. So they've done well against Ray, but obviously it's a lot different team than it was 3 years ago. And then Webb should be tough start. Obviously, Webb speaks for itself, coming off a great start versus the Reds. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really fun series. You got any other closing thoughts or any specific matchups you kind of want to see to look for in the series that kind of the average fan wouldn't see?
Yeah, I fear the Giants bullpen a lot, to be honest. I know like Randy Rodriguez has been one of the best relievers to this point. Ryan Walker, I think by the end of the year will be a top 2 to 3 closer in baseball, and the Yankees are pretty right-handed heavy still, so and I know the Giants have a lot of right-handed relievers, so they should be able to exploit those matchups late in games. They definitely have the advantage in the pen.
Oh, yeah, I mean, do we have right-handed relievers? Of course, we have more right-handed relievers than probably any team in the damn league. Eric Miller, only lefty here. He might need some rest, man. He's just getting beat to shit out there. Could be Joey Lucchesi season here pretty soon. I don't think they bring up Kyle Harrison yet, but it's kind of a mess out there with lefties. I mean, I like Miller, but his command's erratic. You saw it last night when Doval, or I guess 2 nights ago when Doval blew it, and fucking Miller comes in, instant 3-1 count with the bases juiced, and of course gives up a hit. So I don't blame Miller for that, but definitely be interesting to watch this bullpen out. I'm excited for this series. We appreciate Grayson for tuning on. Please make sure to subscribe. Grayson, where can they follow you on Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah, I have an Instagram just called EverythingNYYankees. That's pretty much my biggest hotspot. And then I have a Twitter too, but it's not very built up yet.
Yeah, so go follow him there. It was really good having a guest of this caliber on. We appreciate you tuning in, Grayson. You got any closing thoughts?
Should be a fun series. I'm excited for it. It'll be here soon, Friday. Should be a pretty even series. I'm excited for it. That's all I got.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for joining on, Grayson. If you have not subscribed, please make sure to subscribe to this. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm Jack. Jake's not with us today. Thank you for tuning in.